Kifumbira side. So at times we would move from, because we would wake up early, go to school at Mbuya. After Mbuya, walk back up to Kamocha in Kifumbira. And while there, we saw a lot of bad things. We would again see dead bodies. There was a place called Kasasiro. Kasasiro is that place on Lugogo bypass, where there are now very powerful mansions and buildings and storage houses. That one was a dumping place, and we used to call it Kasasiro, just opposite Kololo Senior Secondary School, East Kololo Primary School, that stretch. It was all a dumping place. And people would be killed and the dead bodies would be dumped in that dumping place. So killings were the order of the day. And so it continued like that. Many, many things happened in terms of the government soldiers being the ones killing the people they are supposed to be, protecting. And many people perished during that time of Mildada. There is a story later on when I worked in Abim. I got a story of one of the first flight engineers. He's called Ambrose Ojok. He's from Agago. This man was killed by Amin, and he was his pilot, and he was among the first pilots and flight engineers in Uganda. And he's from Agago, and as you know, Agago are Acholis. So one of the reasons why he was killed is that he was coming from the wrong tribe, that is from Acholi. And the story is that because I compared with the wife, who is also the first Karamajong police woman in Uganda.
Interesting.
Who has, surprisingly not even been recognized, because having been the first Karamajong woman police officer, who is still living up to today, it is surprising because the other day I got a team from Kampala which had come to check. As you know, on Independence Day we shall be giving medals. So they had come to Buko to check on one of the widows whose husband, Pastor Yolam, had died. So I gave them a reminder about that matter of that man who was murdered by Amin, and the body has never been seen up to today, and who has a wife who lives today with 3 children, who raised her 3 children. One is a pilot, one is a district registrar, and another one did law. And they got shocked and surprised that such people have, first of all, not been recognized, and the late Ambrose Ojok has never been talked about.
Okay.
But that is to emphasize the point of what the bad things that happened during Idi Amin's time. So as a child, we lived through those very bad times. So time came, my father was an engineer working with the Ministry of Information. So in 1977, he went to Japan. When he went to Japan, he came back in 1978. And he was transferred from Kampala to Mbale. And when he was transferred, when he came back from Japan, one of the things he brought was a good shirt that he gave me. So the soldiers came and fought for that shirt. And as I talk, I have a wound on my hand because I was pierced by a bayonet of a gun as they were struggling for this nice shirt. I'm trying to bring out the point of how bad things were, and how the crimes were being committed by the soldiers.
So during that time you could not put on and you look smart when...
it was a crime to look smart. And I was a young guy, of course. But you can imagine soldiers going for a student to struggle for the shirt. And I remember, I'll never forget, those of you who have been around, I think including those in the studio, we used to have Radio Tanzania, where we used to have, I think there was Bavidia, Wand Nakato, Waswa, something like that, who would broadcast from Tanzania, and it was a crime to even listen to the radio. When our father came back, he brought a very big radio cassette. You remember those radio cassettes of those days? But what we would do, we would hide during the day because the soldiers would come. They would come for the radio. We would pack it in a gunny bag, smear the gunny bag with feces, then put it in the dustbin. So that the flies come and nobody can go there.
Not to take the good radio, the cassette radio, or prohibiting you from listening to the radio.
Yeah, of course, we are not like during the day. If you found the radio, the soldiers would take it. So we would keep it in the heap to hide it in the garbage pits, so that we put their feces for flies to come and nobody can detect that there is something good there. So at night we would go under the bed to listen to this Radio Tanzania, where they would broadcast about the soldiers who were fighting to liberate the country, the 1979 Liberation War. So we would all go under the bed with our father, listening to the radio, so that the soldiers don't find us listening to the radio.
Not
so
Uganda Uganda radio, but Tanzania radio.
There used to be Radio Tanzania, where there would be a broadcast of the liberators, talking about how they were fighting to liberate the country from Idi Amin Dada.
Okay.
And of course, the liberation came, and after that, we had the regime of Professor Yusuf Chironde Rule, who was there for 68 days, and like they were making fun that the man was 68 years, and he ruled the country for 68 days, and from there he was overthrown. They brought Lukoko Mabinaisa, we had Tito Kero Lutwa, we had the coming of Mwanga as the head of state, and then later we had the election of 1980, and then the rigging took place, and you remember the current president went to the bush. That is Mr. Museveni went to the bush.
LDC, are you saying that Uganda then did not receive the actual independence, but it was just a mere word?
No, it was not actual independence. Actually, it was not yet Uhuru, not until 1986, when we were liberated by President Museveni, who led the NRA to the bush. So after that, there was the bush war.
What do you think we need to do as citizens to realize its full and to embrace and consolidate the political gains that we have realized as a country?
As I come to what we need to do, I wanted to take you through again all those regimes I've talked about after the going of Idi Amin Dada. There was no change. The civilians were still suffering. They were being killed still by the soldiers. We had the
but you had a civilian president. You had wanted a civilian president,
so
and
people continued suffering. I'll never forget a time. I was a student at Kitante Hill School in O level. So one time, as we were going to school, we used to study in shifts because there was curfew and so on, and so we had to go back early. So one time, as we were on Acacia Avenue, we met the convoy
just here in
President Obote. So this convoy, the convoy knocked a man who was riding a bicycle. And the man fell down. He started bleeding. The soldiers of Obote came out, and everybody was shooting at this poor man instead of helping him. So when I compare with the current president, because I remember there is a time the president's convoy, the President Museveni's convoy, knocked a chicken. The president ordered, they stopped. He apologized for that and even had to pay for the chicken that had been knocked, and even added on, and the man, the owner of the one chicken, got a whole farm, So I'm comparing the two presidents or the two regimes where the soldiers come, they shoot somebody who is bleeding, and the current president who comes out and apologizes. So therefore,
what creates that? Is it the discipline of the leaders? Or it was the political system and type of governments that was then?
It was all. We didn't have a system. The country was in shambles. Politically, it was in shambles. Economically, it was in shambles. Because, inflation by that time, it was in thousands. It was in thousands, over 1,000%. So everything was in shambles. There were no systems. And the leaders were not doing their part, and so everything was actually in shambles, like I've said. So today we are lucky that we got a regime led by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who liberated this country. And I can confidently say that me as a person who has lived and saw through Idi Amin's time, I didn't see Obote one, but me at least I've seen from Idi Amin's time. I even, by the way, from Mbuya, from P4 to P7, I was at East Kololo Primary School. And when I was at East Kololo Primary School, I started with the children of the president, Idi Amin Dada, the vice president, the children of the vice president, the children of the soldiers, and so on. These children will either come with guns and
at school.
The school, of course, every day
they will come with guns at school.
Surrounded by soldiers and heavy guns because of the children, people whom we had in the what, in the school. But when we compare today, we have the current General Muhoozi, and we have the children, the Natashas, and so on, the children of the president. They started in Uganda, but there was no time when you would have, because that the children of the president are studying in a school, they come and surround it, you know. So that is the comparison. So to the question you've said, what can we do? What we can do, we need to strengthen and also make sure we protect the gains that have gone within. I mean, we've got in the over 30 years of the NRM government, because as we talk now, we have democracy. Every 5 years, people go, vote, and elect leaders of their choice. Economically, like you know, the economy of Uganda is one of the best economies in this country. And we have made history as a country in that we have been able to resuscitate, to bring out the economy that was in a coma back to life. So you know that our economy, even despite the challenges, as you know, that we've gone through of COVID and so on, we've been able at least to have a good economy. So we really need to protect and make sure the gains that we have got in the over 30 years of the NRM rule are being strengthened, and also educating the public, especially the young people. We have the young people who didn't know the bad things we've had and even the good things we've had, because they have nothing to compare with. They are not able to know that this country has made a lot of achievements that we need to guard.
All right.
The children of today, or the young people of today, have not seen the bad things we saw in our time as young people, where we saw soldiers killing civilians they're supposed to be protecting. Today, you know that if a soldier commits a crime, he's doing it as an individual, and he's punished. That's why we have the court martial, which punishes such, such individuals who violate the rights of the people, which was not the case in those days. This country has ever had a head of state. I remember with my own ears, there was a head of state called General Tito Kero Lutwa, who was telling the people that if you have 2 women, surrender one to the soldiers, saying that if you have money, give to the soldier. If you have anything, give, because these people did a lot for this country, which is not the case today. Today, I'm sure you have ever entered a taxi, and a soldier enters. The soldier can never enter the taxi and leave without paying. I remember when I was a journalist, I was so excited seeing a soldier entering a taxi and you know, with that discipline, you know, and paying. I would even volunteer to pay for them, because I was so happy to see soldiers doing such, being disciplined. So therefore,
RDC, our time is fast spent.
Yeah, so I want to conclude by saying...
Before you conclude,
yes.
Now that you know that independence for your case started in 1986, let us look at that independence of 1986. We have the government removing the political parties, just as it was in 1966 when President Obote also suspended political parties. Don't you think this was the same situation that we had in the country?
No, it was not the same. You know, this country, you might be a young man, but this country has come from far. At that time, it was resuscitation. Like somebody who is on a life support machine or is in a coma, and you are trying to see how to revive her from that coma he or she has been in. So this country was on a life support machine. And you know, when you're on a life support machine, there is a way you have to do it. You don't hurriedly do it. Somebody like who has been in a coma gets back to life. You don't pack that person with a lot of food that because he's now, he has improved, you give him a lot of food.
Your last comment, RDC?
My last comment is that we have seen a lot of good things under the government of NRM. When I was a journalist going to Karamoja, we used to take over 1 week. But today, when I went back as an RDC, it was taking me just less than 1 day to reach there.
Okay.
Today, we have a lot of good things like the infrastructure development that is so good. Today you can drive.
Thank you, sir.
You go up to Karamoja on Tamak, on the side of Moroto. You can go to any part of this country, to all borders. These things have happened.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for being part of UBC. Yes, sir.
One of the dangers we are having today is corruption. We need to fight corruption.
That was RDC of Buko, Mpimbaza Samuel Hashaka, giving his opinions about the experience, personal experience of what he thinks that Uganda at 60 may mean. For him, he says that listening to the radio during the Amin's regime was not only a crime, but you could earn yourselves, if not death, but you could get some canes. You're not supposed to look smart, as he had sustained injury of the hand because he had had a gift of a good shot, which the soldiers had to beat him in order to take it. The government soldiers were killing civilians, and during the General Okello's government, if you had 2 wives or 2 things that were precious to you, you'd be forced to give one to the soldier or to anyone that worked with the government. Okello, is this story much different from yours, or you think there were some similarities?
Well, I have heard carefully, and it was full of testimony, rather, which is true.
Were these things really true?
Yes, it is true.
But one could be punished for just listening to the radio.
Yes, it was happening. And that is why, there are a lot of things that has to be mentioned here. That's why I told you that one day we will have to come back here again, because we want to take you through step by step for you, because you younger generations, there are a lot of things that you need to learn about this. And a testimony alone, jumping here and there, may not give you everything. And that is why I was telling you that where I had stopped about Amin, we also talked about that at the end. That, initially I said in the year 1965, 66 up to 1971. From the year 1962 up to 1971. Had gained a political, a military momentum, a military ground, a military opportunity, because he was the only highly experienced persons. Remember, during our independence, when we got independent, Amin was already a lieutenant from the British Army. Then, in that very 1962, immediately he was promoted from the rank of lieutenant to the captain. Then in 1963, he was promoted from captain to major. In 1964, he was appointed a deputy army commander. In 1965, he was confirmed a full army commander. In 1967, Amin was a chief of army chief of the defense forces, double as the Air Force commander. Now look at that. He was already in the nucleus of the army system and the army materials and tools, which by all means would give him a leeway to do anything that he wants. And of course that was the time when Amin also came in and overthrew the government of Obote in 1971. Obote took off. Remember now, when Obote took off, within the 8 years to 9 years when Amin was leaving, when Amin was kicked out, completely politics died. Our political games of Uganda was no more, because Amin was everything. He would appoint you today and disappoint you tomorrow as a minister, because he was everything. So from that time, we had no politics. We had no political gain at all, because he was a man of the day and the night, and the only one, the only brilliant, the only self-proclaimed courageous and brilliant person in Uganda by then, followed by Malia Mungu. Now, thereafter, you see that our politics was not there. Then thereafter, from 1979, when the Tanzanian troops, together with our people, came back to overthrow Amin, which our present president also contributed a lot. He really participated. He also came together with the Tanzanian troop, and they fought. Actually, I have to appreciate him, I have to applaud him for that. He devoted himself for Uganda, and that's why God has kept him up to now. Then when they came back, they started setting up a government, where I don't want to touch so many, because amidst there, so many people came in as the presidents. Remember Professor Yusuf Lule
for 68 days.
Yes, for 68 days. Godfrey Binaisa also, Paul Manga also there, blah blah, and then up to 1980, where the government of Obote came in and said, yes, we are now going to put there, and the democratic election has to be there. Okay. And this is where you will see our politics now starting gaining slightly, because we are now going in for election. Now, that means our vote would determine the value and the kind of passion we needed.
All right. Thank you. Ruanga.
Yes, please.
RDC Samuel Hashaka says that for him, independence started in 1986, not 1962. But also looking at what we have gone through you took us through, and Mr. Okello, to me, I would say that independence of Uganda started in 1995, when we had a working constitution. When do you think Uganda gained independence? Before we look at and then later on we're going to look at those key or serious political gains that we need to embrace and consolidate as a country.
Thanks for that important question you have put clearly before me to address. It is a bit unfortunate if the listeners get confused with our presentation. The independence of Uganda, which one can call the first liberation, was 9th October 1962 at Kololo airstrip, which is Independence Grounds. And the person who received the instruments of independence was Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, with the Independence Constitution of 1962. This came as a collective effort which started in the days of pre-colonial, colonial, and the final race, the final lap was run at that time. Okay, that is my clarification. The second clarification I should make is that the UPC government, led by Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, did not ban political parties in 1966, as you alluded to. The only confusion which came in, and may be called political confusion, is when UPC was holding its delegates conference in December 1969. Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, the president that time, left Lugogo to escort his visiting heads of states. Then the delegates who remained in the delegates conference started maneuvering things and passed a resolution which was recommending the ban of the political parties. Unfortunately, that very day, when the president was closing the delegate conference, has come back and is going away, there was this Sebaduka assassination attempt, which almost finished him off. He was grabbed and rushed to Mulago.
Did he not remove the political parties then?
No. I'm coming to explain you the context. Okay. Now he was rushed to Mulago. Reaching Mulago, there was a nurse in ambush who wanted to finish him off with an injection. Obote's sister-in-law had to fight that nurse, and the syringe broke down. Meanwhile, our able vice president, John Babiha, was caught up in a mess. He could not talk to the president because the president now was unconscious, and he was not aware how far this thing is arranged. His rescue, which came from Jinja, by that man who died in 1971, the name was gone, 1970. He's an actually officer who came from Jinja to rescue the situation with royal troops. Aminadi taken off hidden. He came in, they called an emergency cabinet meeting. And in one of the resolutions where you are firefighting, they passed a statutory instrument which suspended political party activities and parties.
And only UPC stayed.
Yes, because it was in government, but in a crisis now. You don't know whether the head of state is surviving it.
As Uganda became one-party state.
No, listen to me, I complete my thought, okay? They passed a statutory instrument which was to be reviewed every 6 months. It was an instrument. Okay?
Suspend all political parties.
Yes, activity. The head of state.
And all monarchies.
Listen, the monarchies, it was in 1967.
It was the same time that...
No. 1967 is different and 1969 is different. Under the circumstances.
Isn't it the time when the parliament became the constituent assembly?
No. Let me explain you. I will go back to that. I had wanted to clear your ear and the public about the banning of political parties. Okay. Now, immediately, President Dr. Apollo Newton Obote recovered. And when he recovered, it was now business as usual. And when he addressed the chair, in I think is it May or April 1970. I think it was May 1970. He alluded to it, and from there we continued. Byanyima continued to be in parliament. Latim was the leader of opposition. So if you are saying Obote banned the political parties, what was Byanyima doing in parliament, and why was Latim an MP of DP in parliament?
It was not even parliament. It had become the constituent assembly.
No, listen, I clarify to you things. Listen, I clarify for you things. I'm talking from a position of authority and research. Okay? So, as you are saying that Obote banned the political parties, Amini takes over. The first, one of the instrument he signed, a military decree of March 1971, number 14, was to ban 10 political parties and organizations. If Obote had banned other political parties, Amini would have only banned one political party, and that political party Amini would have banned is UPC. But Amini had to ban 10. You get it? And that shows that it is not Obote who had banned the political parties. It is Amini who banned the political parties. And when our government came back in 1980, December precisely 15th, it is our government now which reappealed the Amini's ban on political parties. And there was no trace anywhere that UPC had banned the political parties. Let me hope I have made my situation very clear now.
All right.
Now I can go back to your other issues. Now the first liberation is the 9th October 1962. Now, since Amini came in and hijacked the government, hijacked the parliament, hijacked everything, UPC on day one of Amini's coup, 25th January 1971, started Amini's struggle, anti-Amini's struggle.
Can we call 9th October the Liberation Day when we had such cases after then?
That is the Liberation Day, the first liberation. That is when we got rid of imperialism.
But people were not dying during colonialism, then they died after that.
My friend, I don't know from which point of view you are picking your facts. What I want to tell you, colonialism strangled us. Colonialism brought us hardships. Colonialism divided us. Colonialism made us slaves. There is nothing much you can praise about colonialism.
But at least people are listening to the radio and putting
Which
on
listening
their
to the radio? Do you know when you Radio Uganda, where I cited, it came into existence?
All right.
It came into existence around the 1950s. When had colonialism been in the Uganda? It is a long time. So the point I wanted to drive, when Idi Amin now came, UPC government started on him on the first day, okay? And Tanzania offered us a place. Now, as Tanzania offered us a place, Jafani Mary of Sudan had sensed that Amin is a real disaster. And he sent a delegation to Nyerere in Dar es Salaam. And that delegation convinced Nyerere to release Obote to reallocate to Khartoum. And when he reallocates to Khartoum, Sudan gave him the facilities in southern Sudan known as Owinyichibulu. This Owinyichibulu is the nucleus of Chikosi cha Maalum. That army, the nucleus of the Uganda National Liberation Army, which now started forming and wanting to do the anti-Amin struggle. However, unfortunately, imperialism does not rest. It got hold of Khartoum, it got hold of Addis Ababa, and they had an understanding with the rebels in southern Sudan. And Khartoum was told to evict Chikosi cha Maalum and Obote. So Obote was evicted with Chikosi cha Maalum. They were put in the ship, those soldiers, and a number of them even died on the way until they reached Dar es Salaam. That was in August 1972. When they reached in Dar es Salaam, an opportunity came that Amin has chased Indians. And they said, let us try now to attack him. This is too much. Now, Obote hesitated a bit. He said, no, the timing is not right. But since Nyerere was for it, Obote decided to say, okay, let us work it out. And the results were a disaster for the for Chikosi cha Maalum and other fighters.
All right.
So they had to retreat back and work on another opportunity, which came by Amin's mistake when he decided to invade Tanzania in October 1978.
Before I cross to Okero, to you, Ranga, what are those key fundamentals or those political gains that we achieved or returned or realized as a country from independence up to now?
Yeah, I don't know whether you have had a chance of visiting some of these traditional schools like Namiryango, Chisubi, Budo, Gayaza. If you have a chance of visiting those traditional schools, you are going to find many old buildings. Okay? And on top of that, you are going to find many new buildings. Okay? It has a meaning. It delivers. Education in Uganda under colonial times was designed for the sons and daughters of chiefs. If you were a commoner, if you were a Mukopi, if you were a muwejere, if you were an ordinary person, you could not go through that.
So education was for the few.
Yes, for the few. And if education is also for the few, it means even employment
Was for the few.
was for the few.
Mm.
Yes. That was the situation the colonial administration entrenched. And when it entrenched that, it meant that there is a very serious crisis. That's why at the time we got independence, we had less than 400 graduates. Not more than 400 graduates for the whole country. Okay? And most of our people who fought for that independence, a majority of them were primary school teachers, basically. Okay? Now, if I give you such a type of a picture, you can see exactly where we are coming from. Okay? And it is the education which works on politics. It is the education which pushes the society forward. It is the education which is the present, future, and past investment. So we are out of it. Okay. Then the other element, to take you back to Musazi when he was launching the struggle, he was saying we are cut off. We cannot be producing our coffee and cotton, and we sell it to a Muyindi, to a Indian, who overcharge, who pays us very little. We need to have cooperatives. Independence now brought that momentum of the cooperatives. They had been started, but with the less momentum. If I'm to borrow my colleague Sokero's word, there was now momentum in the cooperative movement.
The power of the many.
Yes, and this cooperative movement now transformed a majority of the rural areas. You may not be aware, most of our people were sleeping in huts, grass-thatched huts. Okay? Now with the power of the cooperatives and producing of cash crops, we started to upgrade our household facilities to iron lift houses, mud houses, and what have you. Then our people were also walking. We started acquiring Lare bicycles, even motorbikes, and those who had upgraded so much, they even started driving the 4 wheels. Okay, that is now showing you the sort of situation which is coming. Obote, our founding father, had suffered a lot to secure his education. We should thank the Oyima clan with their vision they had and their family.
Which vision was that?
They had a cooperative, a family clan cooperative society where they were saving as a clan, as a family. Now, when the demands came that he has to leave Boroboro in Irira to go to Guru High, they sat as a clan and they said, how do we manage this money? Then they were said, but we have been saving in that thing. You pull out what we have been saving.
And sponsor our child.
Yes, and we sponsor our child.
All right.
So Obote managed to go to Guru, then from there Mwiri, then from there university.
Allow me come back to you. Let me engage Okello. What are those serious political gains that we need to embrace and consolidate as Ugandans?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think before I answer that question, I also want to elucidate more on the point where my colleague here talked about 1962, that we need to erase completely the fact that independence started in late 1986. The real fact is,
because that's when we realized the real liberation.
I will come there. But with the independence, we know very well that we received our independence on the 9th October 1962. And even up to the present time, our present president give a lot of attention to it every time. He has never shy away from it. I have to thank him for that. And in fact, 1986 that we are talking about, we could be embracing it in terms of political elevations, political gain. That is what I can term it, not the independent, but full political gain, full political free benchmark. And in fact, it was not 1986. I would go back to your point that it is 1995 when our full constitution came out, because between 1986 to 1995, the president was very busy stabilizing the country, because we had so many splits of rebels around. We had rebels in Soroti, we had rebel in Langsab region, we had rebel in Acholi, we had rebel in West Nile. During this time, you could not have any conducive atmosphere to play your full role of politics, or to call members of parliament to do this and to do that, or to go this. But he was struggling very hard to stabilize the country.
Was it the reason as to why we had to go through the movement system and suspending political parties?
Yes, to me, I believe so, because during that time, I remember there was a lot of small groups of rebels with guns, which was so much detrimental to the life of the people. And actually, I believe there was one time when he appointed SDAs, Special District Administrators. These people had a very big role to go down and talk to the children who are in the bush, that you come back. I remember one Muse called Ojedoba. He's still in there right now. He went through and he talked to every people in Langosab region that please come back home. Tell your children to come back. And they worked very hard till within the 10 years our situation normalizes. And in 1995, yes, I believe that we started drastically gaining our political free benchmark, where the constitution came into force, and we started working according to the constitutions, up to date. And when you look at it properly, you remember how our brother RDC was giving out his testimony that they were not free. You could not be free to listen to the radio, to walk on the road, blah, blah, blah. But from the time of 1995 up to now, you will find that we have freedom of speech, of expressions. We walk even at night. We are very free. Everything is fine. Political parties are there. They can stand and campaign, express, give their political ideologies, give what they want to do to the people of Uganda. That means we are very free. So therefore, you find that even those days during a meantime, you could not talk up against the president a single inch. Should you make a mistake, you are dead. These days, I even see the cartoon. I even see the cartoon being drawn, the picture of a president in a very funny way. But you know, and everybody walks free, and they are very okay, and the president is fine, because I think he's seeing that there is need for us to shy away from every time overthrowing the government by force of arms, but rather to stay and set up a very good fundamental structure that will help even the generations and generations to come. And the younger generation who are here these days should know that they really came at a time when they could not see much bloodshed, anyhow that one would come and slaughter you like a goat. And that's why I see that in terms of political gains, yes, we have come in, except that there are other small areas that we need to check.
Okay.
And then panel beat it.
All right.
And then okay, one minute.
In seconds.
1 minute. Now, the areas that I feel that should be corrected so that we can see our politics being played maturely and professionally is within the Article 102C of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, where it has given a leeway for a senior 6 or equivalent to go to parliament to go and debate, to go and legislate. This is a passion who is going to amend the constitutions.
What is your opinion?
Yes. So my opinion is, let us try to panel beat this so that we also hike a little bit to a better level where we will also see that we are bit professional and we can stand out there to compete with the outside world in the benchmark of the politics. That is the area I can recommend.
Interesting. This is UBC Ground Zero. We're broadcasting live on 98 FM UBC, and we're also live and clear on 96.9 FM in Bale, 98.4 FM in Soroti, 95.5 FM in Arua. We're also live and clear on another radio station called UBC Western Nile FM on 98 FM, and we're also live on Magic 100 FM. This is UBC Ground Zero. Ampaire Amon Obtega is my name. The topic of today is Uganda 60, consolidating our political gains. And we're going to take a very short break, and when I return, I'm going to get your calls. I'm going to get like 3 or 2 callers to tell us what you think we need to do to consolidate our political gains. This is UBC Ground Zero.
Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody should. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from that very short break. UBC Ground Zero, broadcasting live on UBC. We're also live on UBC Butebo. We're also live on UBC Western Nile FM and also on Magic 100 FM. 776-511-426 is the number that you can call and share your opinions or ideas about our very important topic of the day. Uganda at 60, consolidating our political gains. You're only going to use 1 minute. I request that you utilize that minute. UBC,
this is Juma from Butega.
Ground Zero.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning to you, and you're most welcome.
Thank you. Okay, me, I have some few to put across.
Please.
The late Idi Amin Dada had his bad part of leadership and a good part of leadership. Obote the same, had his bad part of the leadership and a good part of the leadership. The current regime, Mr. Museveni, has his good part of it and the bad part of it. But I feel offended when caliber of RDC giving example. If a when convoy of Milton Obote knock a person, no one was bothered to give a help. Then he compare with a convoy of Museveni knocked a chicken. How many military vehicles number plates are being plucked out? It might not be the one of convoy of the president, but they are doing, we expect services from them as well. They are our own brothers and our own uncle, our own sisters. They are knocking, like example, when presidential elect in campaign, how many military vehicles knocked oppositions who were yelling around the road? I'm talking because I saw it. So many lives went. Vehicle of the government. Moreover, not other departments, just military vehicle. So now, we have not to praise one regime. Those ones of Amin, they are somewhere where today we can see that this was planted by Amin. Who brought former satellite here in Uganda here was not Amin. And then the brutality on the media. Our journalists, okay, well, they might be not all that professional, all of them, but the brutality today, and those days we used to dwell on black and white coverages. but the technology has advanced us today.
Okay.
We just say that, okay, thanks for that.
Okay.
So, politically, what I could say, it is about the downfall and the opposite of the downfall.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Thank you, Juma, and greetings the people of Sega. 776-511-426 is the number that you can reach us on, and you share your opinions. What do you think needs to be done to consolidate our political gains, and what are those political gains that you think that we have realized as a country, Uganda? UBC? Lost the caller. You can call us again on 776-511-426 and you share what you think needs to be done. Rwanga, we seem to have gained the political, but I think that the economic part determines the politics of the country. What do you need as a country? What do we need to do as citizens of this country to also realize the economic independence?
Thanks very much for that deep probing question. If you want its answer, you can get an old copy of the Common Man's Charter, which is known as Uganda's move to the left. After getting our independence and struggling to consolidate politically, Uganda now moved to another level of where we are saying the thrust which can put food on the table is when we are having a lot of strategic parastatals in our economy or public corporations. And for that matter, the Common Man's Charter recommended nationalization. And the native pronouncements of 1st May 1970 came up with a blueprint of who is to be nationalized and when is he get to the resources. Under the nationalization scheme, all insurance companies, banks, fuel companies, plantations, transport sector, export and import trade came directly under the armpit of the government.
We have a caller, if you may allow me.
Okay.
UBC? 776-511-426. Keep trying. My phone is being worked on. 776-511-426. UBC? UBC? When you call, please, you either switch off your radio or you go in a distance in that you may not create that echo in the radio. 776-511-426. Rwanga, as you conclude on that.
Yes. So, and a formula for compensating the owners, the original owners, was also put in place. And that it was the profits which are made by those nationalized entities will be spread within 15 years to repay. What am I trying to say? When you have a public corporation, like in our situation, we are controlling 61% of it, of revenue, of powers, and what have you. Now we have an oil industry we are developing, an oil pipeline where we are pumping in money. Both Uganda and Tanzania are sharing not more than 15% of the shares. The rest of 70 or 80% is going to other interests. Put it back to the vision of the Common Man's Charter. Common Man's Charter was giving a leverage to Uganda by Uganda controlling 61% shares.
Let's listen to this. Can we hello? UBC? UBC? UBC?
Yes, hello.
You're most welcome to UBC Ground Zero.
Good morning.
A very good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Joseph from Yumbe Arewa.
Yes, your concern, please.
Yeah, I'm really concerned of what they have explained politically. But I just have few to lament on.
Please, in seconds.
Now containing the politics of Uganda, I'm really worried how we are heading to containing this other one, which was of previous of Kenya. You will find that they had some constitution which writes and then there was a limit. But ours, I don't know how it is working, and it's not working in Uganda. And I'm really proceeding with the constitution which has been written. Also pertaining this economic development, you will find that there is also unequal distribution of income and also development. Take some stations where industries are not located, and yet we are all having the same citizenship of Uganda. Sometimes for me, I just feel appealing to the government at least to equally equip the nation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
776511426 is the number that you can call us right now and you share your opinion. And we're giving you only a minute, and I request that you utilize it. UBC? UBC?
Hello?
Ground Zero.
Yeah, this is Henry Baguma.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm right now in a place called Bulambuli.
Yes, sir.
And thank you very much for the topic right now. Here in Bulambuli, I have come specifically also to follow up the question of Uganda at 60. And luckily enough, I have a 64-year-old man able to share with us a brief experience. So you've heard this radio Ground Zero, and of course I'm Henry Baguma. I've come all the way from Kampala to hear the people, the views of the local people. Talk to us about Uganda's independence. Now we are 60 years, and for you above 60. So how many changes, how much can you share with us regarding Uganda's rise and growth?
Thank you, Mr. Baguma. Uganda today celebrating 60 years since independence. I'm Mungasa Patrick, talking from the Bongo sub-county, Umambu village, Bulambuli district. Uganda in the 60s, we have had a lot of changes from the time of independence with several presidents. Kabaka Mutesa II, Obote, Amin, Obote II, Binaisa, then today, His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni.
Yes, sir. You worked in security forces in the 1960s and 70s. You are in Mbarara, you are in so many parts of the country. First of all, I want to understand the national security since 1962 today, 2022.
Security in Uganda first was okay, but there was a bit of insecurity in Obote too. And but now, like in my area, Nabongo, Greater Muyembe, Greater Bunambutye, we experienced a lot of insecurity during the takeover of NRM from Rotwa. And during the insecurity, we lost a lot of property, we lost lives, we lost cattle, and actually it brought a lot of poverty for us. But now, NRM government, we thank the NRM government that restored security in our area.
Okay.
But still, we remained in poverty.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Yes, in the studio, I don't know whether you have any other question, but I think that's enough for me from now. You can ask him a final question.
What he thinks that needs to be done to consolidate the political gains that we have realized as a country?
Yeah, let that question go to him directly right now, sir. You continue. You want to speak to one or two questions before we end up this program.
Yes, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
What do you think we need to do as a country to embrace and consolidate those political gains that we have reached or realized as a country?
Now, in particular, in my sub-county, because I represent the sub-county at the district as a district councillor, with us here in Nabongo sub-county, we have a lot of challenges. One, with the NRM manifesto, it is stipulates very well that every part of Uganda must have electricity connectivity, which we don't have at all. We only see power alongside the road from Mbale to Amudat in Karamoja, but we don't have electricity connectivity in my sub-county, Anabongo, and my neighboring sub-counties like Wikonge and Bunambuke. So there's a need of actually government also helping us to get power connectivity. Then too, we lost a lot of cattle during
the last one.
We lost a lot of cattle during the Karamojong cattle wrestling and the rebellion of Lakwena and Akonyi. But now that the government of NRM restored peace in the area, we actually thought the government would consider us also getting restocked with cattle, because cattle was the source of income in this area.
Thank you.
And the floods also have continued to affect my people in Nabongo and my neighboring sub-counties in Bulambuli district. Also, we have a problem of Kampala cement. Because they are getting the stones, but when it rains, we experience a lot of floods, and when they're exploding, we get a lot of problems.
Our time is over. Your last comment, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for listening to me.
All right.
Thank you, Baguma. Now, yes, thank you very much. I think very well, and wish you the best of the programs.
Okay. Our time is first spent, and we may not go beyond that concerning callers. I see many calling in, but our time cannot allow us. That was Henry Baguma, our correspondent in Bulamburi, talking to Patrick, sharing his opinions on what he thinks to be done. And I pray and request the concerned parties to go to Bulamburi and help in. Our dear guests in the studios, our time is really spent, but before we give our final remarks, let me get this one last. UBC?
Hello. UBC.
Your last caller?
I'm Peter Magoro, 85, who has lived along from 1962 up to date. If he wanted the truth, he recorded this and asked me few questions sometime. I will give you detailed information. I worked in Kampala, the strangers I know.
Okay. Have we had any political gains in this country?
Nothing. The people who were dismissed with disgrace were only given a grant. Now we are living in absolute poverty.
But at least we have the right to speak, the freedom to speak, as it was against then when it was a crime to listen to the radio.
That is very correct. It was all that whom those people have stated. I only little bit give appreciation to that UPC man, because he has really submerged from the simplest thing to the greatest. So, which means if I could talk to him, I would ask more, because I was living in Kampala right away from 1962 up to 79.
Your way forward, sir?
My way forward, there are a lot of things which this present government should do. First of all, to fight corruption, nepotism, also a bit of parting one side other than others. That is what I feel.
Thank you so much. UBC Ground Zero, we're live on UBC. We're live on UBC Butebo, UBC Western Nile, and Magic 100 FM. Okay, Lo, let me start with you, but we're using only seconds to address this concern. We are looking at the multi-party system that came back by 1995, if it is, if I'm right, by the referendum. Let's look at that contribution that the political parties have had in strengthening the democracy of Uganda. Okay, do you think we have had any positive contribution emanating from the contribution of political parties?
Yes, I say that we have gained a lot. There's a positive contributions. First of all, from that time of the constitutions of 1995 till date, we found that there are many things which have been done. People have been given a free and environmental arenas to play their their political games freely. People have been given a mandate to register their political parties. That's why now we have so many political parties.
Okay.
In fact, we have dominated almost all the colors.
All right.
When you put on yellow, they think you are a movement. You put on red, UPC, NUP, and all that. But finally, I also want to add a little bit that really to embrace and strengthen these political gains. I still go back that members of parliament should go back to the parliament and worked on that article 1002 clause C, so that the member of parliament can have a degree and above, so that when he is putting something on the floor of parliament, he will be a well-informed person, knowledgeable. That's when we will say, yes, our politics, it is okay. And finally, corruption. It is very true that our people down there, when the money is sent, you find people are just chewing it anyhow. Of recently, you have heard about PDM money. Okay. Now, my idea is these people who goes on stealing the money, they should be apprehended and taken and be prosecuted seriously.
Interesting.
So that our political gain remain constant for the generation and generation to come tomorrow.
Rwanga?
Yes, please.
The concerns of Ugandans, you've heard them, any answer for them?
Actually, I welcome all the callers who have made some, who have given time to listen and to make calls. As we walk our political journey since pre-colonial days, colonialism, and post-independence time, now the biggest challenge is ours. It is ours in the sense that we are 60 years of independence, but some things are not working. Some things are not clicking. Okay, we need to go back to the foundation, and the foundation is 9th October 1962. Political power was given to a leader of a political party.
Okay.
And the leaders of political parties and their members ran the country very well.
Talking of political parties,
yes,
have we had anything positive in these countries, like internal democracy,
this is what
that we need to borrow as a country?
This is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm a Kabaka subject from Kaboja Parish Kasenge, Gombolola Chengera Town Council, district Wachiso. Okay, but I'm a member of Uganda People's Congress. That shows you that political parties are for integration and are for the state formation and nation building. So we have a lot to gain from stable political parties which shape the country, which bring competing ideas, which recruit new enlightened membership. What you are seeing now as a weakness of political parties is the after effect of their being banned, first by Idi Amin from 1971 to 79, and then being suspended from the political space from 1986 to 2005. That made Uganda to have very weak political parties when the space was opened. Even the ruling political party is weak because we had a lapse when political party activities were not taking shape. However, democracy is struggled for, democracy is fought for, democracy is guarded jealously. The medium of democracy, the guarantees of democracy are the political parties and their people. So my appeal now is to remove POMA, that Public Management Act, which restricts political parties from having a breath. It was reported before the 2021 elections that it had been removed through iPod and through meetings with the Prime Minister of that time, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda. But when you go on the ground, our way forward is to go back to the fundamentals of 9th October 1962. Independence, we got it with unity. Independence, we got it with commitment. Independence, we got it with sacrifice. Independence, we did not get it by nepotism. We did not get it by inequalities. We did not get it by segregation. We did not get it through tribalism. No. We need to go back and refine those core values. And the core values become our campus direction. Without that, we shall be in more problems. We shall still be searching ourselves.
Okay, in seconds, or your way forward?
My way forward is directly to our fellow youth of today, that let us work hard. Let us work hard. Let us work together with the government. Let us accept to be molded, to be mentored, so that we become the great leaders of tomorrow. Because gone are the days when we were living in the time of vengeance. Gone are the days when we were living in the time of humiliations. Gone are the days when we were living in the time of the devastations. This is a time that political free benchmark has been given, and the youth, I am calling them to stand and work hard. And finally, my prayer is, when that time comes, we know leaders come, leaders go. We know that by that time of transitions, we will have mentored other people. We will take a chain of good leadership within our political game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
UBC Ground Zero, Uganda at 60, consolidating our political gains. I had Ranga Christopher, head of ideology and documentation from UPC Secretariat, Peter Okero, Foreign Affairs Minister, Lango, Chiefdom, and we had Mpimbanza Samuel Hashaka is the RDC Buko. Ampere Amon Obtega is my name. I want to thank you from the time we started until this time that we have to end this broadcast. We've been tuning to our 4 radio stations and streaming live on YouTube. You can always tune in on Sunday at 3 p.m. For the repeat of this very program. Great thanks to the management of UBC for giving us the opportunity to discuss independent issues as we unveiled UG at 60 series, and in all our programmings for all our radio stations and TVs, we are going to be broadcasting independence messages. Many thanks to you, our guests, our callers and listeners, for your time, and to our Executive Director Doreen Desi and Executive Producer Musiminta Aren. I worked with Turebe Hirare and Bob Brian Mugisha. From all of us at UBC, we wish you all great preparations for the celebrations of independence, and we keep educating, informing, and inspiring you for the great independence of this year. And all I say, and I request you, buy a flag, buy something that will really represent this country. I like always Ranga. He comes here when he's putting on colors of UPC, and many times he's putting on T-shirts and shirts of the founding father, Dr. Milton Obote. I always thank you for that. From all of us at UBC, wish you all the best, and for God and my country, Ampere Amon Ortega, allow me to sign out.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Tune in to Ground Zero on UBC Radio. We discuss politics.
The money we collect as taxes in the country, we lose it in corruption.
Economics.
The 4 economic sectors where there are jobs and wealth are commercial agriculture, industries, services, and ICT.
Education.
The classes which will not need an abridged curriculum are the entry-level classes of P1, Senior 1, and Senior 5.
Culture and religion. And other areas of human interest. Ground Zero every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio. Don't miss.
UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
We've been tuning to our 4 radio stations and streaming live on YouTube. You can always tune in on Sunday at 3 p.m.